Welcome, welcome to today's broadcast. Today we're going to be talking about work. Now this is another one of those topics where it's very, I don't want to say upsetting, but just, I can get very frustrated at people while talking about it because, it's one of those loaded topics that's just full of tropes and overstated assumptions that are kind of just manufactured. I mean, certainly not in all cases. Some people just grew up that way, and it's understandable, but it's one of those things where people just settle for whatever they have always known, and accepting that, because it's really hard to see anything outside of what little whatever little box you've been put in. It's like the caveman theory. Like, since all people have ever known their whole life is this sort of dog eat dog, lonesome sort of free reign sort of perspective on work, where you're just expected to figure it out, and if you can't figure anything else out, then you rather take the shitty option, which can always be it's really touchy, because sometimes people will get offended because they do something really important, and people don't have respect for those jobs because they are so low paying, when in reality you should have more respect for them, but you just don't, because you assume that the reason it is so poorly paid is because of because you assume that's right, which isn't really true. I mean, and I'm mainly talking about gas station jobs. To me, the gas station, and fast food as well, but that's a little bit more niche, because that's something where people are just being gluttonous. You don't, and I'm no fucking exception here. I can't help myself, or at least I couldn't for a long time. I've liked to think that I'm doing a lot better at it, but that food is just purely masturbation. It's so good, and it just makes you feel awful, and you don't need it to survive, and you should be better than that. But in oil's case, it's much different, because everybody, at least in the state we are right now, where our labor is all spread out, and millions and millions of people live out of town, and they gotta drive an hour every single day, to go do their job. It's a necessity in the state in which we have set things up. And that doesn't mean it can't change. It doesn't mean we can't set things up in a different way. But oil is sort of a necessity. It's needed. It's very important. Which is why those workers are very, very important, and they deserve a lot of respect. And so what has happened to me a lot of times is I will try to explain that the reason I don't want to do that kind of work is because it pays so little, and it's, you know, it's just such a humiliation thing. Like, I'm doing this, like, I'm doing work here, like actual fucking backbreaking work that is needed, and everybody just treats you like shit. Everybody, and like to the average person, you know, because this is what I also get a lot of times is average people will say, "Oh well, that's not really true," and it's largely not. But the problem is, respect nowadays is money, and money is respect. So the people who have money don't respect, and that's the oil barons. They don't respect people, which is why they have these super incredibly important jobs, and they don't respect you for doing them. One second. All right. And I will explain to a lot of people, you know, that I don't want to do those jobs, or those jobs need to be changed in a way where people get more respect. It needs to be seen as on an equal playing field to these well, anything really. I don't think there should be these sort of tiers of jobs, if that makes sense. You know, like that kind of work just isn't valued, um, even though without it there would be no huge profits um, in the oil companies. But it's just you know, that kind of work isn't hold on a second. But yeah, no, it wouldn't be possible without those workers. It wouldn't be so valuable. Like, you would have no company without them. So I always get, upset when I see, there's this one point I've heard before, like, I went through the process of, you know, making an investment in, or, going through the process to get through, to climb up the ladder, business wise, and you just, stick a piece of lead in a piece of wood, talking about like pencil factories and shit like that, you know, corporate and on the ground working, that dynamic is, that's kind of how it's viewed. But the reality is, I spend my whole day wearing an ugly uniform, asking people, dealing with God knows who, by the way, you know, anything could happen at you know, a gas station. You have no idea, and it's a pain. Um, and it's the whole fucking day devoted, basically your whole life. You know, you don't have time to take, you know, make other plans. You know, you spend your whole day doing this mental fucking just brain rot thing. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just like takes all of your energy, and you can't feasibly do anything else, which is kind of a whole discussion in itself about wealth distribution. You know, people having more time on their hands just because they're, you know, already coming from a place of financial stability. That's its own thing, you know. But I guess that kind of ties into it, like the way you go about fixing that is by respecting those jobs more. Um, you know, I take my entire day to do this work, and that's not worth, you know, just as much, if not more, than the guy who just had some nice little papers. Um, and you know, there's degrees and there's all these hoops and fucking, you know, all this shit to go through, but it's just when it comes down to it, it's a general lack of respect for people's time and effort, you know, because you know, when you have that sort of attitude, like, oh, who's who's really more, you know, respectable here than me, the guy who put all this, you know, time into the business and like, you know, really thought outside of the box or put up, even not even that. Sometimes it's literally just a financial investment. Um, you know, and the analogy with the pencils is pretty bad because, you know, obviously there's going to be a fucking demand for pencils. They're pencils. So it's not really that big of a financial risk. Therefore, you know, me taking my entire day to put lead in pieces of pencils, you know, is definitely worth more than your investment because it was kind of a sure thing. But that, you know, it's not always like that, I understand. But it's just, you know, it's ridiculous, is what it is. I mean, I don't. That's what I always wonder. If people could, for just a moment, be okay. Like, that's why I've always wanted to get super rich so I could just, like, gather up all these working people and just, like, put them in a house. Just, just pay their rent for a little bit and be like, hey, figure something out. You know, that if this current administration was really about it, you know, they could take one tiny chunk of those trillions of dollars and just, you know, like you wouldn't even need anything. You could honestly like split a few million between every American just for a little bit and just tell them like, hey, sit back a little bit and think about what you're doing. And that's the whole thing. Like the government, you know, acts like they're not supposed to guide you. Um, and it's a little bit paradox, you know. That's not what is the government supposed to be if it is not a group of people who is meant to guide you to whatever. Like people nowadays act like the government is like your like owner or like you're like yeah, like you're like the government like bought you and like is in charge of you now, and like no, the government's like your dad, bro. That's like your mom and your dad. They're supposed, and your mom and your dad are supposed to guide you to the best life you can have, to the best of their ability. And it doesn't really seem like I mean, hey, maybe they're trying their best, but I would say there's got to be a few other people, at least one other group of people who can do better than these folks. Because, luckily we can do that, and it's not like you just have what you have. You can vote people in for now, but it's like, dude. um Anyway, I think for the most part, well, people just need to have more respect, not only for themselves but for other people around them. And then, oh yeah, what I was saying before, yeah, they could cut off like 1 million, a few $1 million out of however many trillions and trillions of dollars they have, and they could, just tell people like, hey, sit back for a little bit and think about your life. Think about what you're doing and where you're going. Like, take some mental bandwidth to find some forward momentum, for these people who, are so low income that they can't even survive. Like, they're barely getting by and their lives are just miserable. Take like just a little bit off and just help them. And I don't know, bro. People aren't into that idea. Everybody just wants to keep their money for themselves, and I mean, I guess I get it, but at the same time, I've had like just about everything in life, and I'm like, dude, I've seen it. I've eaten enough cake, if you know what I mean. Like, just let that sink in. I have eaten enough cake. I have seen enough beautiful sunsets, dude. If I had 80, dude, you have like it is insane what people will not do with their money. Like, no ambition, bro. Everybody just wants their fucking yacht and their Bugatti and their hose, and like, dude, it's insane. You have no idea, dude. And I would tell people that all the time, and they're just like, they've never had anything. They've never had anything. And then there's some people who have had everything who also think that way, but it's crazy. But like, people who have never had anything, they say like, you honestly really, like, would you really do that? And it's like, you don't understand. I've had a perfect fucking life, and I'm only 21. I had everything handed to me as a kid, dude. You have no idea. Like, I got video games. I got, all sorts of interesting drawing programs and like technology to be able to pursue my interests. And like, my mom just bought me a guitar when I was like a little kid. Like, I've always had that. And the thing that people don't understand, and why I think it happens, especially when, for some reason, some people can really be spoiled. And I guess, it's just, that my parents did a good job of, showing me how hard it is, to maintain that, and how, like, you have to really work hard. But, like, some people, you know, they don't, they've never had anything, and that, like, it makes it so when you, but at the other hand, they usually don't. I mean, that's kind of what history has shown, is that, you know, it's very rare for someone to actually go from, super low income to being like rich, rich. Like, you have to be like, it has to be, you know, crafty and unique thinking outside the box, stuff like that, like, it's never really like hard work or, luck or anything. There's always, I mean, there is some luck to it as well, but like, um, that's just what people say. They just say like, "Oh no, if I had that money, I would be out of here. I would be on a yacht. I'd be, with all these bitches and shit." And it's like, okay, okay. And I literally could not be further from that. Like, dude, and it's crazy to me because for a long time, as you probably know, we don't talk to each other. People don't fucking talk to each other, dude. People don't understand each other. So I was shocked. I was shocked to hear someone say, "Hell fucking no, if I had money, I wouldn't do shit with it. I would never give a dime to," like, poor, broke-ass, struggling-ass people who realize what's up. But they just don't care. Because they've just been through so much shit their whole lives. They would literally rather never lift a single finger again. Which is just crazy to me. Like, dude, if I had the money, I would literally, and like, that's the thing. You can't say give it all away because people don't understand what you're saying. Or they don't understand what I'm saying. I'm talking actual good public school. Public school where the policies aren't decided, the curriculums aren't decided by these fucking idiots. I'm sorry, but dude, it's just bad. It doesn't work. It doesn't work because people are still ending up in these positions, you know, where they don't think creatively, where they don't, and it's just, that's its whole other thing. School is like its whole other subject, but like, if I had the money to do it, I would teach people how to be, how to live, how to do things for themselves. But instead, we teach them about numbers and, you know, while numbers are cool, and I will grant history is important, it, and literature is really cool too, not as important. Surely basic reading skills, but not really literature in that sense. All cool stuff, but it is always secondary to being able to survive. And that is not what anyone, and for years people have said that. People have said that, but it just goes ignored. And, school and work kind of tie in, honestly. People, you know, will say, "Oh, well, no, I just think they're doing their best." And it's like, yeah, but they're not making those decisions. They're not making the decisions on how that information is actually presented to you. You know, take take big important historical events, but also tie it in socially and psychologically and explain the outcomes that you want, and instill a sense of kindness in people from those historical lessons, you know. And that's the thing, like, if you're going to teach math, why not teach finance? Teach people about money, teach people about how to, survive in this world rather than spending all of the time on Pythagoras and timetables and, things that are very cool but ultimately niche and secondary to being able to survive. You know, that's the bottom line, and that's why it kind of ties in with work, because that is ultimately your job, to ensure not just that you are providing them with the best information that you can, but that they follow through and make it. And a lot of that comes with, socialization, talk to each other. You have to have patience for students, otherwise they're never going to learn. Um, and you know, but it's a whole huge fucking clusterfuck of information and just perspectives. But the bottom line is, work can be created, so to speak, if you just allow people to collaborate on the more meaningful stuff like food and housing and things like that, rather than keeping it all privatized and every man for himself, dog eat dog. Oh, you can start a farm if you have the money. If you can do whatever you want. If you don't have the money to start a farm, sucks to suck. And then all these, huge, you know, it just needs to change, If people had, and that's another thing that I think, capitalism, as beautiful as it is, or can be rather, food, at least the healthy, important foods that are actually, necessary for a good life and a good diet and like being healthy, those things should at the very least be public in some way. And what I mean by that is no exclusively privatizing farmland. We're not going to do this trading business anymore. The land is under our feet, and when you put food in it, it grows. And that is not something that you need a license and a document and ownership of some. Because you know what I mean? Like, people have miles of land that they just don't do anything with. And it's not always people, I guess. Sometimes I don't really know how buying land works. Like, who has the land? Who am I buying it from, bro? Like, if it's just sitting there doing nothing, and I go with me and my family, and we start growing our civilization and building our houses there and growing crops and mending all of it, then someone just comes along and quote unquote buys it from the government or whoever or whatever, however the fuck that bullshit works. Like, you're just gonna kick me off when I've done all this work, when I was already here, when I've made my home here. You know what I mean? It's like the land is, if your argument is that we're not getting more land and we are getting more people, then how then why are we doing nothing with the land that we have? Like, are you saying that we gotta just keep this the way it is so that people don't breed anymore because we have too many people and eventually we'll run out of land, so we'd rather just keep the majority of it completely barren and empty and rally these people into these little cities? You know? Like, it's weird, dude. It's just weird. Like, work as a concept, like, what is needed to preserve life? And everybody will say, well, money. You gotta get a job. You gotta do this so you can consume. Because we are a consumer nation. But instead of doing that, why don't we try to mend the places that we can and cultivate the land as best we can and grow, food so that we can sustain our lives rather than going through the same relations as always, like, getting all of our food from California by making money, by doing whatever, but ultimately, like, being dependent on other places rather than producing things for ourselves. And that's just something that comes with nobody having anything. Nobody has any quote-unquote permission to grow food, to build houses, to do work. It's all this, basic, bland, non-momentive, I don't know if that's a word, just work that goes nowhere, work that is sort of tied up in this huge thing so that your only means of survival are participating in this, someone else's business, basically. Because not everybody wants to start their own business, man. Some people, they just want to go out, do the work, then come home, and then... But it's just like, it's ridiculous. Like, if this is your plan, then raise the payment. Like, have more respect for people, or let them live on their own and go their own path. Like, they don't have the option to go their own path, and people are just so ignorant to see that. Like, you can't, that's another reason I say I want to get rich, because, like, if rich people only listen to rich people, then maybe if I was a rich person, they would suddenly start listening to these points that people have tried to make to them through thousands and thousands of years. Maybe. But, like, they just have no respect for you. And it's strange. It's very odd. But I guess, that's the thing. Like, for someone who's never been in that position, how could you understand? It would have to be that these people are just insane and they're just, like, lazy and they're just not doing enough, or they're just not thinking hard enough, or whatever, anything like that. How could you blame them for that when they've never been exposed to anything like that? They've never had to face financial issues, And that is what it is on the most part. For the most part, that's how it is. People just don't understand other people's perspectives because they come from such vastly different walks of life Um, and they, instead of seeing that, realizing that we are completely different and we're gonna have, entirely different perspectives, they just ridicule you and think you're insane because they could never imagine it. You know, they don't know what it's like. And it's interesting. But I just think, for thousands of years, people built their own homes. People built their own homes, and they grew their own food in their communities. And this new age sort of, let's be honest, it's a very white thing now, at least. I'm sure throughout history there have been other times where shit like this happens, but for right now, it's kind of this white attitude of God damn, bro. I gotta take out the. Oh my god, every time. Um, yeah, like we used to build our own homes. We didn't get Mexicans to do it. We didn't, import immigrants on H-1 visas so that we could pay them less and do. It's basically slave labor, you know what I mean? Like, that was never the thing. And that is why we are now a consumer nation, and where I live, especially, consumer nation, because we don't produce anything. We don't we don't make our own stuff. We don't grow our stuff. The only thing we grow here is like fucking soybean, and like just what is the point? You can't think of anything else, dude. You can't, and it's just strange. And I need to do more research on it, of course, but it's just weird that people are so content with being, you know, being the same. Just being, you know, being underlings. And it sounds so bad to say it like that, but it's kind of like, dude, you have you you have the whole world at your fingertips, and you live on God's green earth under the big yellow sun, and you can do whatever you want, and you just choose to do nothing. You just choose to be American and be nothing and be nobody. And obviously there's more to it than that, as I've said. Like, some people don't have a choice. Some people are just completely locked into that, go, go, go mindset that they don't have any time to even consider that. So it's not, it's no one's fault, but like, you have to make stuff, and now it seems like it's kind of gonna force us in that direction, so I'm almost like happy about it. Oftentimes a setback can be the most helpful thing in the world because it's a learning experience. With California splitting off, and like, I don't, it hasn't happened yet to my knowledge. I don't know how they're already not being funded. It's strange. I think anyone who in California who's paying taxes to the federal government is kind of, I mean, dog, like, do something. Like, don't just sit there and let them piss on you. I don't know what to say, but like,
Let's see, if I had one of these things on, I would want to get it off as fast as possible.
It's just,
because they're
ugly. You have no choice now.
They just scream.
At some point or another, you are going to have to go outside and start digging and start growing and start thinking of think about things to do.
You kill two birds with one stone.
But that's the thing. Everybody who has ideas here just goes to Cali anyway because that's where the opportunity is.
Maybe you could teach them English.
Great. Bilingual bullying.
Always fucking
Nope.
Oh wait. I just realized I'm playing the bad one, so I can just.
What was I doing before I ran into the Red Menace? Oh, yeah. Porta potties.
Oh shit. I've never tried that before. Damn. Okay, hold on. Here we go. We're gonna kill all these civilians. Anyway. Did they move? I think they all left. Oh no, I got 12. Damn. Anyways, guys. I don't remember quite what I was saying. I got really distracted, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, like, people just go to California anyway because that's where the opportunities are. Like, people don't want to, people who think otherwise, if you don't think along with the pack here, you know, the common mindset of, like, just do as you're told, go along with it, he earned that, you know. If anyone is rich, it automatically means they deserved it. Don't question it at all. It's just like, if you have money, even if the whole actual truth, like the 100% verifiable whole truth is that you are, you know, a fraud and that you lied and you're a scammer, it just means you deserved it. You deserved it. You got what you deserved. Like, even if it's completely verifiable. But now, all of a sudden, when the Somalians are even suggested to be frauds, it's just immediately, oh my god, they're in bed, they're crooks.
Whoa, no thanks.
When I have seen some weird videos, questionable stuff, but no verifiable proof, you know, that's what's happening, so I don't know. But, you know, it's just interesting that, you know, for years, it's just been, he earned that because he's rich, so it means he earned that. If you say that he cheated or anything, you're just coping. And if you don't go along with that, you're like ostracized. You're like you're like, you know, just labeled and ridiculed and all this shit. And you know, it's an interesting attitude to have, you know, because you work so hard. You know, everybody here works harder. They bust ass, and they just dog on themselves. Like, oh my god, I'm such a worthless piece of shit. I just worked 40 fucking hours in a day. I worked 70 hours. I worked a 70-hour shift 3 times this week. But I'm a worthless piece of garbage. I don't know, it's so crazy. Like, that's basically what people here do. It's wild, dude. I don't understand it. I could never. But that's the other thing, like, you know, their dad probably said that about himself. That's just what they know. And it's sad, bro. It's really fucking sad. And I'm not saying that in a condescending way, like, oh, they're so sad, bro. Like, no, it's fucking sad, dude. People here work their asses off. Literally everybody I know, they fucking And like people who don't outwardly go like speak up about it and like accept the truth that they deserve more for their time, like it's weird. It's also like here specifically we just don't talk about it. But if you do, you're just kind of annoying and people are like less inclined to like they're just not interested. They're just not having it. You can go to someone and say, "Hey, dog, you should go on a strike," and they're like, "Nah, I got bills to pay. I can't afford to go on no strike." But they won't even say that. They'll just like they'll just say, "Yeah, you know, it is what it is," and then just keep going. They have no time to think about it, and it's sad, bro. It breaks my fucking heart to see like these glorious, intelligent, beautiful human beings just running around in circles when they could have so much more. They could have so much more, bro. It's crazy. Sec, y'all. I don't know how long I've been going. One sec. I'm gonna check. 46 minutes. Alright. Alright. I'm trying to think if there's anything more that needs to be said. I mean, it's just a concept right now that I've been toying around with for a long time, as were most of these streams, but you know, it's just crazy. You go on this roundabout way of making life happen rather than going directly to the source. Like, instead of just doing the work that needs to be done, you outsource it and you have your own little fog. In this case, you know, like, we really don't do much here. Most of the country just doesn't fucking do shit. It's just a bunch of people who kind of like generate wealth for like other, like for big corporations that are, you know, on the coasts. It's weird, bro. It's this weird. America's so weird. Like, I hate it. I hate that the Midwest is like so like just dogged on, like over and over and over. It's just this. It's the Midwest humiliation hour, bro. Like we gotta like. But that's the thing. Like, everybody here doesn't want to hear that. They just don't want to hear that. They're just like, how could dare you? And it's like, bro, you do it to yourself. Oh, I'm really not trying to like fucking get all riled up over it, but like, dude, you do it to yourself. You guys do it to yourself, bro. And anytime somebody tries to inspire you here, be different, be wild, be themselves. It's always the same. You know, if you're not eating the shit, if you're not eating the slop, then you suck. Oh fuck, I forgot I was doing a quest. Yeah, bro, I don't know. It just, that's the thing, like, it's hard to reach people like that. I ought to just, like, get the funds and do what I said before, where you just like.
It's not crazy to be awesome. It is not crazy to be awesome.
Yes, it is, Delson. It is crazy to be awesome. I think it's so funny that he.
I'll make you a deal. We take this chase back down to the ground where it's safe, and I'll give you a 10-second head start.
I've never gotten that line before.
No.
I love that.
God, after I climbed up all this way. Angel bastard should have let
Like,
him
why is he
fall.
scared of heights, bro? He can literally fly. I think that's so funny. Anyway, bro, like, fucking, yeah, I want to get rich, and I might have to bite the bullet and move to California, even though I think that shit's kind of lame. Just because your party is lame. Your party is always lame. I don't care. If I wasn't in the party from the start, and now it's popping, that shit was lame. I don't care if that's a dumb mindset to have, but like, bro, I want to start my own party. I'm gonna start my own party now. I'm gonna start my own. Party now. But seriously, though, I'm like, that's what I want to do, and I might have to, you know, go to California and sell out a little bit.
Listen, man, I
But
don't know.
like, I feel like I could do that. I feel like I could do that. I feel like I would probably do something. I could probably get a bag and just bring it back here and just like, hey y'all, fuck you. Take a break and think about what you're doing. Think of stuff. And it probably wouldn't work on everybody because some people here also just don't have the aspiration, and that's not something to make fun of, dude. Because it's like, bro, that's what LA is. What? Like, oh, you just don't have the sauce. You just don't have. It's like, bro, the reason I don't have the sauce is because my.
But what do you think?
Well, it's a variety of reasons, but you know, you're not special. That's the bottom line.
Chase me, shoot me,
and
shoot near
you know,
me.
if someone here were to kickstart,
See what happens when we're on the.
All right, I'm gonna shoot him this time.
Yeah,
I'm gonna shoot him this time and see what happens.
batting average with the Angels right now. If they take you, man, they take you to God knows where.
I know. Okay, but look, you know how you're always losing your phone and then you grab mine and find it?
Right.
Right. Well, we have a GPS link.
So you're like a big, ugly tracking device. Okay.
Right. But look, we got to make this look real, okay? Not too real, just real enough to fool the Angels. You get me?
Oh, I can get you right between the eyes.
No, just don't be a dick.
Not bad. Ooh, I'm gonna be a dick.
Alright, oh shit. Yeah, I'm gonna shoot him this time.
Run away in fear, for I am powered, horrible, ugly, deep-spirited superman. Hey! Oh, no. I'll never surrender! I am a bioterrorist. I eat children and kittens!
Please, conduits don't really do that.
This is something that is not cool!
I wonder how bad that would hurt.
You want me to shoot back?
He always runs into that wall. Look at the Ghost of Tsushima fucking.
Fear my power!
I just think that's so crazy. Like, fucking, you can totally see Ghost of Tsushima in this game.
Flee in terror, mortals! I could melt
Flee
your faces
in
with
terror,
nothing more than my
mortals!
thinking.
And cops wet the bed.
But yeah, I think you guys get the point. And by you guys, I mean me.
And we have liftoff.
Hey, follow my phone and don't be a dick! Hey, maybe a little slower? It's my first time with an angel, you know?
Oh shit. Damn, I didn't know they fucking come after you. I've literally never been
Grab
through
his
this
hands,
mission.
Don't
punch
really
him in
have
the...
soft hands.
Whatever they have down there.
Abductees tell you that?
God, you actually have to
Okay, Reg,
fucking.
can I have your truck?
Yeah, Reg, can I have your truck?
And
Alright,
we have liftoff.
Hey, follow my phone and don't be a dick!
Here we go.
Hey, maybe a little slower? It's my first time with an angel, you know.
I was actually thinking of making like a comic
Wow, you
type
angels
thing
really
out of
have
this.
soft hands. Any of the other abductees tell you that?
Like this story is so good, but it's also like really underbaked. Like this game could have been
Listen, I just wanted to know if you know where you're going. I'm just
crazy.
saying we could probably stop and ask for directions. I wouldn't mind.
And I think it could be turned into like a comic or something. Like even a TV show maybe.
Video angels. I should have seen that coming.
Woo, you don't like it when I shoot? That all you got? You fight like cherubim.
That's it! Keep shooting the screen! I think it's really putting the hurt on him!
Ugh. It's not hard to aim while flying in this game.
Yeah, that's right. Keep coming. I'll take you all down.
Alright. I think that's a good place to stop this. I will return shortly. I know I said I was gonna play Ghost of Tsushima this time, but I couldn't fucking help it. I just wanted to play this game. But next time I'll probably be back on Ghost of Tsushima, or like I don't know, maybe I might play some God of War or something. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time.